You know, there is this incredible legend, one that's been told for centuries, about a library that was the intellectual center of the entire world. A place that held all of human knowledge, where the greatest minds of the age came together. It was called the House of Wisdom. But its story, well, it ends with one of the greatest tragedies in history. A river running black with ink. I mean, just picture that. This is the image that has echoed through history, describing the catastrophic destruction of Baghdad back in 1258. It's this powerful, almost mythical scene, right? But to really get what was lost, we've got to peel back the layers of legend and find out what was real. All right, so let's dive into the legend first, the big epic story of this place that's fascinated people for centuries. So, the story that's been passed down paints this picture of a massive university, a bustling public library, and a top-tier research institute all rolled into one. People saw it as the absolute engine of the Islamic Golden Age, this unbelievable period of scientific and cultural flourishing. But a place like the House of Wisdom doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. To understand how it rose, you have to look at the city it grew up in, Baghdad. A city literally designed from scratch to be the center of the world. So picture this. The Abbasid Caliphate has just taken over. They've overthrown the old dynasty, and they decide we need a brand new capital. So under this guy, Caliph al-Mansur, they pick a spot right on the Tigris River and set out to build a city that would just scream power and ambition. And the design of Baghdad, wow, it was a statement all by itself. They built it as a perfect circle, a direct nod to Euclidean geometry, which is just incredible when you think about it. At its very core were the Caliph's palace and the main mosque, surrounded by these huge walls with 4 dates pointing to the corners of the empire. The whole setup was designed to just radiate power from the center outwards. And right there, at the heart of this city of ideas, a library starts to take shape. It began with Caliph al-Mansur, who just had a private collection in his palace. Then his successor, Harun al-Rashid, made it bigger. But it was the next guy, a Mamun, who really changed the game. He's the one who took what his father called the storehouse of wisdom and basically turned it into this global magnet for scholars, creating a real hub for scholarship that would change the world. Yeah, because you have to understand, this wasn't some dusty old library where books went to die. No, its whole mission was to be an engine, a full-on factory for ideas. It was all about actively hunting down, translating, and then building on all the knowledge in the world. And that was the real engine of the Golden Age, this thing called the translation movement. I mean, for 2 solid centuries, the caliphs were pouring money into finding and buying texts on literally every subject you can think of. And so important, they paid scholars, a lot of whom were Nestorian Christians who were fluent in Greek, Syriac, and Arabic. They paid them really well to translate all of it, creating this one shared language for human thought. And the result? It was exactly what the caliphs wanted, an absolute explosion of intellect. With access to the combined wisdom of the Greeks, Persians, and Indians, scholars in Baghdad weren't just saving old knowledge. They were creating brand new stuff, making these huge breakthroughs in dozens of fields. And the people who worked there, I mean, their names are legendary. You've got al-Khwarizmi, who not only invented algebra, but his name literally gave us the word algorithm. How cool is that? There was Hunayn ibn Ishaq, called the Sheikh of Translators, who was a machine, translating countless medical texts. And the Banu Musa brothers were designing these mind-blowing automated devices. We're talking some of the very first examples of programmable machines. Just incredible stuff. And the collections themselves were just massive. To put it in perspective for you, right before the Mongols attacked Baghdad for the final time, a single scholar named Nasir al-Din al-Tusi managed to save 400,000 manuscripts from the city's libraries. 400,000! That's a staggering number, and it was probably just a fraction of what was actually there. Okay, but this is where the story takes a bit of a turn. That popular picture we all have in our heads. Well, in recent years, historians have started to question it, and it sparked a really fascinating debate. So here's the big question they're asking. Was the House of Wisdom actually this one giant public university we imagine? Or was it something totally different? So the debate really boils down to 2 main ideas. On one hand, you have the legend, a big, formal public academy, kind of like a modern university. On the other hand, maybe it was really a private library just for the caliph, and the name House of Wisdom was more of a metaphor for the entire intellectual scene that was buzzing all over Baghdad. And a key piece of evidence here actually comes down to just one phrase. A historian named Dmitry Gutes makes a really interesting point. He says the name we all use, Bait al-Hikmah, might be a mistranslation. He thinks the original term was closer to storehouse of wisdom, which, sounds a lot more like a private collection than the grand public house from the stories. But you know what? At the end of the day, whether it was one single building or a movement spread across the whole city, that doesn't really change its unbelievable impact on world history.
Ultimately, what it looked like on the outside is less important than what it did. The work got done, the knowledge was gathered, it was expanded on, and crucially, it got passed along, completely changing the path of human civilization.
You can really break its legacy down into 3 huge steps. First, it gathered. It saved all this ancient knowledge from the Greeks, Persians, and Indians that could have easily been lost forever. Second, it created. It used that foundation to make amazing new discoveries in everything from algebra to optics. And third, it transmitted. It passed all of that combined knowledge over to Europe, where it helped light the spark for the Renaissance. Of course, a golden age like this couldn't last forever. Around the mid-800s, a new caliph, al-Mutawakkil, turned his back on the rationalism of the guys before him, and the government money for science started to dry up. But the final, absolutely devastating blow came in 1258. The Mongol army sacked Baghdad, and in a single week of pure destruction, they burned its libraries to the ground. And that brings us right back to where we started, that haunting image of a river black with ink. And it just makes you wonder, right? How many discoveries, what philosophies, what incredible works of art and science just vanished forever in those waters? And you just have to ask, how different would our world be today if they had survived?